So the name of your show is On the Level.
Right.
And you're supposed to have a level somewhere.
Yeah. Right.
You know what I'm saying?
It's Alex Caviness, the real urban daddy, here with Alessandra Defino.
There you go.
All right. Now, I found her through my man Leo. Leo works with me sometimes, and that's his friend. And he was like, yo, Alex, you got to interview this girl. She's pretty hot, and she does construction. She got muscles. I said, yeah, I got to get her in here. So after a little loosening up, she's a little nervous about cameras, but...
Don't remind me.
So, Alessandra, Alex, I'm Alex. Alessandra actually works for her father, grew up in the construction industry, so she really actually does some kind of work. I was on her IG watching her bust up some concrete with a sledgehammer. How old was she? She worked that sledgehammer better than most dudes I know. I ain't lying about that.
That's why my dad made me make that video. I'm like, I'm sending this to Fox 5. Like, all right.
How old are you?
24.
24.
Yeah.
Okay. How old were you when you started working with your father?
I mean, I was on and off since a kid and everything. And by the time I graduated high school, 17, I had a choice whether to go to college or work. And, you know, I was not really a school person. I'm good with my hands. So I was like, okay, I'll work with you, you know.
Yeah, I understand that on and off experience because I had the same thing,
Yeah.
you know. When you need some money, you on.
Yeah. I need the fast money, not in the bad way.
Right.
I can't wait to go through college to go.
Right. Nah, I get it. So when
And I already knew what I was doing. So it was pretty much easy for me.
Okay, so what is it that you're really good at?
Demoing.
Demo?
I destroy things.
You like tearing things up?
Yeah.
That energy?
It's fun, but you know, like you got to do it in a neat way. You can't be messy with it. You can't be sloppy.
You have to, as my father used to say, I'd be like, Dad, you want me to tear this wall out? He said, no, I want you to disassemble it.
Yeah. Take some pieces out, put it in the wheelbarrow, whatever you got to do, dump it, take the rest out, you know. Because once you take the whole thing out, it's like, oh, I'm like, what do I do with the whole
I'm
thing?
sorry, we got the sensor, don't worry about it.
Oh, bleep. What do we do with all this? But yeah, it's pretty much more or less like a puzzle. Anything you do in construction is like a puzzle.
Okay, so here's the big question that I have, because just knowing guys, right? You been and you're kind of hot chick. You're a hot chick for real.
Thank you.
So the
Far too kind.
so the hot chick comes on the construction site. How do you get the respect of the other guys? I mean, do you have to pick that sledgehammer up first, and then they go, "Oh yeah, okay"?
No, you know, pretty much. No, you know, like. Since it's easier since it's through family,
Right?
Because they're like, okay, that's his daughter.
The boss's daughter.
That's his cousin.
Right.
That's
That's
his
how you should
niece,
do
you
me.
know?
Like that's Mel's son, so they
Yeah,
leave me
like
alone.
don't F with her. But there are times where I have to be like, no, like shut up before I hit you with a shovel. Like shut up.
Okay.
But
all right.
no, it's what I love about the main thing I love about construction is that everybody who you work with, like you work under a contractor,
Right.
so they hire the same people.
Mhm.
It's all a big family.
Right.
So you don't take things to heart most of the time, you know. Once you get to know the people and everything, like we'll crack jokes about, you know, they're perverts, but
Right.
so am I. So we get along well, you know. So you can't really you don't really take much to heart. It's not really a big problem. The most thing I hear about like working as a female is those, you know, women who are housewives and stuff. They're like, I've never seen a female construction. I'm like, yeah, well, take a picture, you know. Like, I'll be here all week. But
oh my God.
that's like the most thing I'll hear. Like, I've never seen a female. I'm like, yeah, I know. I get it. Like, I hear this every time I see somebody. Like, but it's not bad.
Man?
Yeah, it's not bad. Once they see you do the work, they're like, oh.
Working that sensor again.
I'll tell you.
Oh my gosh. Oh,
Then they gain your respect. They're like, oh, okay, I just thought you were here. Just like, I get paid just as much as you get paid, kid. Like,
right.
And I do more than you, but they'll see you, they'll underestimate you, and then they'll see you work, and they're like,
Right.
I'm like, yeah.
Yeah.
But it comes easy once you know what you're doing. You do the same shit over and over again.
Right. I mean,
you.
And I tell guys all the time, you know, I've had some guys that are kind of sensitive, and I'm like, listen, you're not gonna last here. If I had to tell one guy, listen, you just got here. You are at the bottom of the pile. People going to yell at you. They're going to talk slick to
Either
you.
You can take it or you're not. You know, you can take it or can't.
And one guy was like, oh, I'm not going to have anybody talk to me like that. Well, go back to Wendy's and get that $7.95 an hour, not knocking Wendy's.
Right?
Or you could come out here, man up. But now I had to come up with a new term since you got to see that. What's your Instagram? Because I want everybody to see you work that sledgehammer.
At No Good Alice. Should I spell it?
Yeah.
Oh God, here we go. Can I spell? No, it's not. NOGOODALESS. No Good Alice.
You gotta see her on the gram busting up that concrete.
Yeah.
You was really bringing it. So we
I
were
really love that. I really love that.
So
at the gym.
Yo, you ain't lying. That's all Leo could talk about was the muscles. He said, "Yo, she really got muscles, man." I was like,
I'm a tough little thing.
Yeah. No, I've seen it. I've watched you, and I hear you talking. You can tell when somebody knows what they're talking about.
Yeah.
We were talking earlier, and I was hating to waste the interview because we talked so much outside of
We should have not spoken to each other.
We should have not said anything at all, right? But you were talking about you were doing some electrical stuff now.
Yeah, I'm an electrician now.
Yeah.
I've been on and off with my cousin for years. Like whenever my dad needed me, I'd help him out. They'd keep in contact with each other if he needed me more.
Yeah, they pass you around.
And that sounds wrong, but they do.
Hey, listen, I got passed around between my father and my grandfather in the morning. Like, you going with your grandfather today?
Yeah,
You're going over here today.
They communicate. They're the bosses. So what are you gonna do? It's the only time I actually don't bitch at them. I'm like, all right, boss, I got you.
Right.
But they tell me, they're like, you're one of the best workers I have because I know what I'm doing. Like
Right.
I watch and I learn. It's like you got to pay attention. If you don't want to learn something, you're not gonna learn.
Right.
There's been so many kids. I've had friends, brolic as ever, come out to me like, I don't know how you do it. I'm like, what? They're like, construction. I'm like, you's a big bitch. Like, you a big for no reason. Go home.
Go home.
I wake up in the morning. I go to work like every other person does in a job.
Right.
And I come home.
Right.
How do I do it? How do you not do it?
Well, I'm older than you, obviously. So
no, you're not.
when I came up, they used to have a saying: it was every man's to his trade. So carpenters did carpentry work, electricians did electrical work, plumbers did plumbing work, masons did mason work. As things evolved, you had to learn more things. So, like, I learned to do electrical, plumbing, and some I don't really like masonry. I ain't gonna lie.
I love that. That's my favorite. To be honest.
It's just heavy for no reason, if you ask me. Like everything
That's
about
why I love it.
everything about masonry is heavy. Concrete,
Yep.
mixing concrete, and that's an art to mix concrete. And
you know what?
bucket.
We don't use the hoe. I actually invented something that
Really?
you go to Home Depot, you get a mini shovel.
Right.
Use the shovel. It's so much easier.
Right.
So much easier.
Right.
The hoe is like old school. My dad straight off the boat.
Right.
Italian.
Right.
Like I'm like, Dad, I'm not using that hoe. Like,
Right.
You get a little shovel.
Right.
Put it in the wheelbarrow.
The small trenching shovel.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly. And you mix it with that. It's so much easier.
All right. So I don't like that, but electrical is cute. Is cool.
Unless you're in the attic, that's 90-degree
my
weather.
Listen, when
running wires.
I bought my house, it was an old farmhouse, and I thought I was finished, and I went to put ceiling fans in my son's room. My oldest son, that's the first room I did, and it was sparking. It was arcing all over the place. So I kept pulling wire, thinking it was just dry rotted in the box.
It was live, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's just the whole thing had to come out, and I had to call my wife. I said, "You remember that 3-week deadline we had? That's not going to happen."
It didn't trip the box or anything?
No, it was just arcing. Well, it just pop, because it was the old BX, so it was, the rubber around the wire was, no good. So I had to rewire my whole house.
Houses.
Right.
I can't stand
I had to rewire my whole house. It had blown-in insulation in the attic, and I had to crawl around on my stomach in the attic. It was like it was like 120 degrees up there.
And don't slip because you might fall through the ceiling.
Do you like electrical work?
I do.
Really?
I don't mind it. It's more thinking than masonry.
Definitely.
Because masonry is literally like You break it up, you build it.
Yeah,
It's,
it ain't rocket science.
yeah, it's not at all. You fill the concrete up to the forms, and
right,
that's it. You know,
screed it out.
electrical work, you got to know what wire, what kind of wire. You have category wires. You have speaker cables.
Low voltage stuff. Yeah.
1412, 14.3, 1412, 14.2, 14.3.
Right.
You got so many different wires that you have to know what to use. If you don't know what you're doing, you can set the house on fire. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But now, what they do with the wires, it's easier. The wires actually trip out.
Mhm.
But, like, if something sparks, the whole breaker
Right.
would trip. So
Right.
they make it a lot easier. Even the hi-hats, all you have to do is
Oh yeah, plug it in.
It's
nice. It's nice.
Yeah, it's so easy now.
But it's easy, but still, you got to keep track of everything that's going on.
That when you're doing a renovated house, this is what messes me up. You got to know, like, where to drill the holes through the forms, like, because there's no sheetrock up or anything yet. So you got to, when you run the cables, you got to run them separately. Drilling fucking holes everywhere.
Right.
I'm like, Jesus Christ, I got this big drill. I'm like, when does this end?
right, because you got
doesn't.
full wire.
Yeah, it doesn't.
Yeah.
You got to, like, to pass inspection.
Yeah.
And of course, owning a business, you got to do the job right so you get more clientele.
Right.
If you don't do the job right, why are you doing it? You know?
Okay, here's a question. And can you wire a 4-way switch?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. All right. You sure?
Yeah.
You did say it like you meant it.
Yeah.
Like,
I wasn't like, yeah.
Right, like the cameraman,
Yeah,
right?
right.
The cameraman was like, you ready? He was like, yeah.
I was like, yeah.
Well, let me tell you something.
Nah, I know how to do that.
I wired a 4-way switch one time and I was getting ready to kill myself. I don't know why 3-way switches or 4-way switches provide me
Well,
with
you have to put the pigtails on. You got to
but
bury the
it's
white
still,
wire.
you got the travelers, you got the comms. This is,
It's a pain in the ass, but
it really. You ever put in a service panel?
no.
Not yet.
No, not yet. I'm not that far in electrician yet. Like,
Okay.
I know how to do outlet switches, hi-hats, fans, all that. You know, like, I could wire a house, but I'm not at the point. It's just me and my cousin working.
Right.
So he doesn't have the time. Like, he'll tell me what to do, show me what to do, but he doesn't have the time to actually sit there and be like, this is how you do it.
Right.
Once he does get a chance to do that, that's how I learned,
Mhm.
When he gets a chance every now and again, he'll sit there and spend time with me and show me exactly how to do it. Because at the end of the day, I don't have to go to school to do this shit. You know
I
what
mean, no, you going to school. It's called the School of Hard Knocks.
Yeah.
I mean,
I feel like I've been in that school my whole life.
right. I mean, like, for instance, I remember when I was 22 years old and I asked my father because somebody asked me, I said, Dad, how many years experience would you say I had? At 21 years old. He said, about 10. I was like, really? And when you think about it, he said, yeah, because I taught you everything quickly.
Yeah.
So
without you even realizing it.
Right, because when you work for other people, a lot of times they need you to dig a hole instead of learning something. But there were no barriers to my education. So how long have you been doing electrical work now?
Electrical work, I've been on and off with it. I'm like been doing it for months now, consistently.
Oh, you just getting started. Yeah, you be cool.
I mean, I've been doing it since I was 16 maybe.
Okay.
But I was on and off.
Right.
And he would, he would teach me things, and like I knew how to do outlets are the easiest
Right.
thing. 3 wires,
Right.
plug them in with each other, whatever. But on and off since I was 16, maybe 17. But now I'm consistent with it. Now I know what I'm doing. Once he'll leave me on a job now. Like when I was younger, like he'd have to stay with me because I was younger. I didn't really
I get
want to do electrician work. I wanted to do masonry work. But
it. You want to hit something.
yeah, I did. I wanted to demo some
Right.
But yeah, then I started realizing as I got older, I'm like, you know what? This is going to be my career for now. I'm going to have to know what I'm doing to make good money.
Right.
And I'm not going to F these people's houses up. You got to do it correctly. Whatever you do it at your best. That's what I learned from construction. You can't do half.
You learned that from your father.
Yes.
You didn't learn that from construction.
You're right.
Because if you see a lot of these construction guys, these contracting
Yeah,
guy.
that's why so many people get fired so quick
Yeah.
because they don't care. They're just there for money.
Yeah. And
So you really have to like what you do. I really love what I do.
And honestly, that's why I started my consulting and management business. Or I saw a Google keyword is home remodeling planner business because
Fancy.
right, fancy, right? But because so many people hire bad contractors, I'm kind of like the barrier to keep them from getting screwed.
Yeah.
Like, so they hire me.
You manage the whole
I manage the whole thing, and I
Yeah.
make sure I do quality control inspections and all that because there's so many bad contractors. I personally work with a lot of people who always thinks is good enough. Yeah. Go ahead, say it. You got something.
I saw a company the other day. It said almost perfect. I was like, who the names their company? Almost, I would never hire you, bro. It was a landscaping company. I said, F that. My grass is going to turn almost perfect. Get the F out of here.
Oh my gosh. No,
That's half. That is half. I can't even. I'm not even playing with you. Can't make shit up. Oh my god.
No, you can't. You can't.
Right in Bergenfield.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, plumbing. Have you ever done any plumbing?
My cousin Vinny. Such a typical Italian.
My cousin Vinny. Sounds like so. I've heard that before, right? I've heard that before.
Definitely a movie.
I saw that movie.
Yeah, he owns a plumbing business. We were doing bathroom work. I was doing tiling and sheetrock and stuff in North Bergen, and we called him as the plumber.
Right.
And every time he came over, I don't really work plumbing, but I'd help him out with it and stuff. It's literally a puzzle.
It is.
You're putting together. That's it.
It is.
If you can't figure that out,
And it's nasty.
It depends on the job. Some jobs he gets. Oh my God, he got this one job, Hurricane Sandy. A pipe burst at McDonald's in the street. You're not calling me to help you out, you nasty mother. No, that's.
I mean, because literally.
Good money.
Great money.
Great money.
But sometimes you're waiting in other people's feces.
Sometimes. Most of the time.
Yeah, it's nasty.
You know?
Right? But sometimes
That's
said,
what you got helpers
if
for.
I had it to do all over again, I'd probably be a plumber. Because we were talking outside, right? I was talking how I did a video on how to replace a thermocouple. And it was 20 degrees one day. My boiler wouldn't come on. And all my plumber friends, I know they were busy because, like we said, nobody argues when it's 20 degrees about price.
They're like, here, just take the money and get it fixed.
Let's do it.
Okay.
So
it's gonna be about this much, though.
Right. So I mean, I ultimately fixed it, but in times like that, these guys is making a mint, $800,000 a day.
Yeah.
Nobody's arguing when it's 20 degrees outside.
No one's arguing in general. If your house is flooded, it's like, no, wait a couple. You're gonna be drowned to death by the time you know.
So plumbers probably have the biggest emergencies. Electricians, I'd say, number 2.
Yeah.
There's never really a carpentry emergency,
no.
Unless a tree falls in your house and you need to.
Yeah, roofing.
Yeah.
Gutters, whatever.
Yeah.
That's easy fix though, framing and stuff.
Well, it's easy if you know what you're doing.
Exactly. That's what we were talking about.
Right.
People make it look so like we were talking about outside, like on YouTube channels. They on TV and stuff. There's these females that are like decor people. What do they call them? Whatever. They're like they act like they know what they're doing. They got the little belt on.
Right.
Okay, you have no idea what you're doing, really. You're just yes, whatever the hell they're called.
Yeah.
But in reality, it's like they make it look so easy to normal people who don't know what they're doing. Yeah. And it's like, it's not easy if you don't learn it. Like cameras, I don't know what I'm doing with the camera. If you teach me, I'll know. But
right.
It's the same thing in any trade you do. It's the same thing. Like if you don't learn it and you don't want to learn it, you're not gonna know what you're doing.
You are actually the first and only woman who has ever had anything negative to say about HGTV. Because I watch it sometimes and I'm going, that's way wrong. That's not even close to being right.
I'm sitting there, I'm like, is that really how you do things? That's not how you do it.
No, it's not. Lay blocks, brick.
Stones, brick, blocks, cinder blocks. Well, cinder blocks we use for the back of the steps.
Right.
So you basically frame it out with cinder blocks. Keep the dirt and the sand in. Some of it you have to shape it up a little bit.
Right.
You can't keep no stragglers.
Right.
because
So-
your steps are gonna
So
sink.
you a bricklayer, huh?
Yeah, I'm a bricklayer.
Okay. So here's a legitimate question. The alkali and masonry products eat your skin up. Do you have rough hands like alligator skin from that?
Oh, I scrub my hands every day in the shower. I got that scrub in there. No,
Right.
I got like fake
Oh, let me
calluses.
see. Oh no, you got some.
Yeah, I scrub my hands every day. At the end of the day, I am a female.
Right, no,
You know, I
at
do
the
gotta
beginning, at the end.
I do got, yes, my body might be falling apart a little bit already, but I do got to keep my hands and my feet scrubbed.
Right,
They're
okay.
scrubbed
Because
at
I
all
know
times.
that's, I got a friend.
Oh, yeah, and I don't wear gloves at all.
Why
Gloves
not?
get in the way.
Oh, wow, you
Plus,
gangsters.
well, no, it's just like some of them are too small on me and
Right.
some of them are too big. And it just gets in the way. It's just
Okay.
like, nah, let me just get this shit over with, whatever.
And you talked about now looking to buy some property to renovate to home.
Yes, like a 2-family house, rented out.
How's that working out? You've been looking or you?
I've been looking. I have not yet to do anything because I'm trying to save my money as much as
Right.
I can right now.
Mm-hmm.
I just moved back with my parents, thank God. I'm saving my money.
Right.
But yeah, and another thing about, which is gonna be good when I do start it, because I've lived in houses that the owner, what is it, the landlord they call it? Yeah, landlord. More like land cornball. He doesn't know what the hell he's doing. I used to call him like I'm at work, but my roommate said the pipe burst. He'd hire this cheap guy. He doesn't know what he's doing. Neither of them know what they're doing. And I'm sitting there like, okay, yeah, my dogs are gonna drown. It's okay, right? Like, no, I know what I'm doing. So if there's a problem in the house, I'm not losing my people.
Right.
Like, they're staying there because they're like, oh no, she's a good landlord. It's a good area. It's good property.
Right.
Everything looks good. I left so quick. I'm like, this guy doesn't know what the fuck he's
So basically, you learned what not to do. So now you're gonna
do everything. I mean, it's easy to me. Like I said, you gotta know what you're doing.
Yeah. Well.
You can't just think it's easy. Oh, I saw that on TV. Let me make extra money, and put in my pocket for renting out houses. If you don't know what you're doing, the people are not gonna stay there. I don't know how easy you really think it is.
No, listen, you got it. But like, again, this is a rare conversation I'm having because, a lot of women believe what they see on HGTV.
My mother does, and I don't know.
Right.
I'm like, Mom, you grew up around contractors and like you don't know by now, or like.
I can literally go to a client, and a lot of times they try to speak with authority, but I could tell it's HGTV authority. I can tell.
You can always tell.
You can tell.
You
can tell.
Because
they think they're all prepared and
it's like you do know that you're not supposed it
doesn't
work that way.
Yeah, that's not real, right?
Yeah, it's not real. It's just entertainment. This is what the government's doing to us.
Okay. So, Alessandra, you are a real riot, and we gotta do this one more time. We could probably do this for like 4 hours, but then people probably start falling asleep, so we don't want to do that.
Oh, no one's falling asleep.
No one's falling asleep right now. But I do thank you for I thank you, Leo, for bringing her, because I think this was great. We're going to do it again.
Yes.
You know what we're going to do? We're going to do some stuff on site. I'm coming with the cameras on site.
Absolutely.
We're gonna
You got to see me in action on the ladder, hanging off the ladder. Like,
yeah.
You're gonna fall and be like, I'm doing this my whole life.
Alright, just check her IG out. I'm telling you, it's the real thing. She is the real thing. Again, this is Alice Caviness, the real urban daddy. See you next time.